Hello and welcome back to the Betting On Show, where this week we are giving you some betting insight and some expertise on some specific bet types and some markets. As ever, I'm joined by my trusty betting coordinator Anton, and this week, or today, we're going to be looking at the shots on target market, where Anton's written a brilliant piece for Betting Odds, which you can see live on the website now. So Anton, the shots on target gets you off your feet. Tell us about that market. When did they first, do you reckon, sort of came popular?
Well, as we said, there's been a significant increase, I think, over the last couple of seasons, last season in particular, with around the shots market and bookies offering different boosts and things like that to try and entice the punter in. But for me, I see it as a positive. It's another market we can try and get a bit of value on. It's quite an exciting one, if you ask me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I love sort of looking at which defenders are taking free kicks, who gets forward, and you can often get some really, really good prices. Sounds like a silly question, but in the betting sense and in the Opta world, what is a shot on target?
Well, as I think if you have a bit of a Twitter search of @SkyBet and then shots on target, you'll see the kind of controversy that's been caused by some of the decisions this year. But what I will say, the majority of bookmakers will refer to Opta's data from a game to settle the markets upon. But it's worth noting that a decision can be changed based upon Opta reviewing the footage, which they do during and after the game. But you're right, the definition of a shot on target, it can be murky waters when we're talking about it. But Opta's definition at the moment, we've got 1, the ball goes into the net regardless of intent. We've got 2, it's a clear attempt to score that would have gone into the net but for being saved by the goalkeeper. And the third and final one is it's a clear attempt to score that would have gone in but for being stopped by a player who is the last man with no goalkeeper having chance of preventing the goal. Murky waters there, but that's what the definition says.
So an example of something that wouldn't be a shot on target, which I often go mad about, if a shot is blocked and the defender gets in the way and it looks like it's travelling, that wouldn't be a shot on target, would it?
If he's the last man, he's on the line, but if it's just a block shot, no.
Bang on. Yeah, I think the one that springs to mind recently, Man City versus Real Madrid, Champions League, I think Sky Bet put up a boost, Kevin De Bruyne 2 shots on target, and he was whipping corners in, and you can kind of tell he was putting it right on the keeper. Was he shooting? We don't know, but obviously that counted across and up to not having it, but that's where it can be controversial. But I think it's clear that punters need to know what counts as a shot on target, so they're not going mad on Twitter about it.
Do you want to know my opinion on that, Charlie, would be, imagine you'd had a bet on the amount of crosses in the game and you were on De Bruyne to have a certain amount of crosses, and they've then classed the corner as a shot instead of a cross. Do you know what I mean? Think of how you'd feel then. So that's the kind of the way we've got to look at it, I feel sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's good. Which bookmakers do these kind of bets, and is there any that you could recommend using? Is there any you think have better odds than others?
Yeah, so you've got pretty much the full selection of bookmakers offering these now. 365, Betfair, Paddy Power, Sky Bet, Coral, PokerStars, a new introduction to the market there, who have had some very reasonable prices in my opinion in this second half of the season. William Hill, Unibet and 888 Sport also offer it. But if you're asking me which ones do I like, my favourites again would be Betfair and Paddy Power. I feel they're the most consistent with having the prices up at respected prices as well, reasonable prices. I feel Coral, they're one of the worst priced on this. Sky Bet, reasonable in my opinion, but the ability again to combine these selections with Betfair and Paddy Power is what makes them stand out for me. And you can manually do that yourself. You don't have to send them a tweet or anything like that asking for it to be created. You can do it yourself.
Yeah, that is good. One thing I wanted to ask about, I feel like we can't talk about shots on target without a certain Bruno Fernandes. And we I know you've done a piece on him before and obviously studied his work since he's come over to England. How has his price changed since when he's sort of come, and how do you see the betting for like someone to have one shot on target compared to two, and how often does two come in?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, Charlie, because one of my key angles at times into this market is new signings at clubs, and Bruno Fernandes is probably the perfect example for this. And his first Premier League game against Wolves, he was around 9-1, I think he was, to have two or more shots on target with Betfair, and at the end of the season we were seeing that price go off at 6-5, almost even money in some games, and it just shows how the bookies not having that Premier League data to go off, and that past form in this league gives a potential area for us to profit on. And Bruno Fernandes is a perfect example of that. New signings this season, I'll always be having a closer look at them in these certain markets.
Yeah, it's good advice. And
yes, and
go on.
Yeah, sorry, Charlie. Just while we're on that area with a few key angles into the shots on target market when you're making your selections, and one of my others would be position, and that a good example of that one this time is Bukayo Saka. Times last season he was playing at left wing back before being moved forward, so part of a front three in games. Those games where he was playing as part of a front three, he was still being priced up as a left wing back, in my opinion, and it creates little snippets of opportunity like that where potentially the bookies have got it priced up wrong. Team news again, people switching. I know your club here, Charlie. I've got another example for you. Abdoulaye Doucouré. When Pearson came in, he moved him further forward and he played him almost as an attacking midfielder rather than a defensive midfielder. And that potential for him to then have a shot on target increases so much, in my opinion. And we saw that in Doucouré's stats at the end of the season.
Talking about stats, and I don't want you to give away all your tricks and secrets, but is there any good source, any good websites that you would suggest for people having a look at the shots on target stats?
Yeah, so I think you've got a few. You've got StatsZone out there, which is particularly good, but my favourite is whoscored.com. I think they're solid with the amount of data that you've got in there that's displayed in quite a easy and manageable way of interpreting.
Definitely, and keep your eyes peeled on bettingodds.com because we are hoping to have those stats on our website, and hopefully we can help you make a decision about what bets you want to have. One thing that sort of springs to mind recently is, I think, Bayern Munich versus Barcelona. I saw Thomas Müller was evens to have one shot on target. So just shows if you look out there, there's a lot of value to be having, especially if you listen to Anton and have a look at bettingodds.com. We look to help you and find those little gems. I think that's about it, Anton. Some really good stuff there. That's the shot on target market. We're coming back to the Premier League. It's already coming thick and fast, and we're hoping to do as much of these insight videos to help you guys out. If there's any of these videos or anything that you guys want to know about, just put it in the comments below, and we'll look into it and try and help you out and give you as much advice as possible. Remember to gamble responsibly. Obviously, when we're having these markets, we know they can look like big prices, it could be big odds, but only bet what you can afford. So thanks for a lot for that, Anton, and I will see you for the Premier League returning.